Hey guys, it is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, and I'm back with some free VST plugins to help you with your musical adventures and endeavors. All right, guys, we have a lot to cover today, so let's jump right into it. The free VST plugins for today are as follows. So, first up here, we're back dealing with some more live instrument emulation plugins. This one is one of the newer drum rompler type VSTs. This is called Drum Locker from the developer Audio Assault. Next up, we're going to be looking at Jamsticks 4. This one has been around for a while. I don't see too many people talking about it, but I've been using it for at least 4 to 5 years now. And we will dig a little bit deeper into that. Next up, let's go back. The developer for Jamsticks is called Ray Zune. And next up, we have MyHappyBus from Yuri Semenov. He's been making a lot of crazy stuff lately. And also from the same developer, Yuri Semenov, we have the YSALCL. So we're going to be looking at that. These two are compressors. All right, so let's go to the download links. So for the Yuri Semenov stuff, I don't even know what's going to happen if I click the link now in the live stream. Oh, it will take me there. So it'll take you to this Google Drive folder where you can just hit the download button up here to download the respective plugin. There is Mac and PC versions available, so click the corresponding link based on what you need. And the weird thing about this developer is that I think they're based out of Russia, and there's no information on the plugin as far as, not in English, based on the different areas that I've gone. And to get the more updated versions of his plugins, because he's constantly pumping plugins out, and he has some stuff on some other sites from back in the day, but those are the older versions. But he's been pushing out a lot of new stuff lately. So most of the links are usually in a YouTube video. So I posted right here the link, so you can click on this. It'll take you straight to the YouTube video where he's giving you some audio examples. I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but the audio example is here. There's no talking, and he'll just be tweaking and adjusting the different controls, knobs, options. So notice I put the link there for both of his plugins, so you can at least watch to get somewhat of an understanding. But I'm going to go through that with you guys in this video. For Ray Zune's Jamsticks 4, this is a free version. They have a pro version. They have different tiers. Pricing is here, all that good stuff. But they do have the free version, and I will show you what that comes with. But you come here. Their stuff is pretty outdated, just the installer and the program, as you can see, but the sounds are still pretty good. The control is pretty decent. And we have Drum Locker, which is very, very new, very recent, very bare bones, but still very effective, as I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. But you come here, you have your download links, It is Mac and PC compatible. I think you have to download the plugin, then you have to download the free drum that they make available for it. There are other drum kits that you can purchase to add to it. So it's essentially like a drum player. All right, let's jump over to the DAW and see what we got going on for today. So I have drum and bass, not drum and bass, just drum loops, literally live drum loops. So this is the first one. So we're gonna listen to that and then we'll go through the plugin. So this is Drum Locker that's playing this. So nothing complicated, just a little drum groove that I dialed up 10 minutes before I started live streaming. So let's get into it. So the interface is pretty simple, which I kind of appreciate. You don't have much options with the kick and the snare, nothing to change here because you just get this basic kit, essentially a 4-piece kit, a crash, a ride, hi-hats, tom 1, tom 2, snare, kick. Very simple, very basic. But that can kind of throw you off and make you think this is not that good because everybody likes to see a ton of options, right? But it gets interesting when you get to the mixer. And I didn't realize how deep this was until I got to the mixer after I did this little beat in it and was testing it out. So the thing is, for each kit piece, as you highlight on the mixer track here, you get a switch here. It'll switch over as far as the controls. And for each kit piece, you have compressor, EQ, verb, and dynamics. All right, so of course, verb is reverb. So the big deal about this is you go to the kick. I didn't like the way the kick sounded initially, and I was able to really go in and dial in what I wanted with the compressor. And you see all the settings here for the compressor. We have threshold, ratio, attack, release, hold, knee, master, and mix. Master is pretty much like makeup gain. So you can use it that way. That's what I did. And then they still give you a mix knob here. You come over here, you click EQ, and then now you're looking at an EQ. So I was able to shape the tone of the kick based on how I wanted it because I didn't like the way it sounded. So I thought that was pretty cool because it kind of opened it up and allowed me to really tweak the sound, and it made a pretty big difference. Then the next thing is that we can go to the verb section, turn on the reverb, which I'm not going to do that for this. Maybe we'll look at it with the snare because I don't even know how much reverb modules they have, if they have just one, or if they have different ones, different algorithms, because I didn't touch that. What I did touch on the snare was the dynamics. No, it wasn't the snare, it was the ride. Didn't like the way the ride sounded, and I wanted to bring out more detail. I didn't do it with the compressor. I adjusted the EQ and then went to the dynamics, and I was shocked by what was here. So they had tape, they have a limiter, they have transients, shaper, and they have a clipper. So I was able to utilize the tape and the transient shaper to actually get the bell on the ride the way that I wanted it to sound, bring out more detail, kind of sustain the ringing a little bit, and get the attack where I wanted it. Get the attack where I wanted it. So I thought that was pretty cool because I was able to still affect the sound and actually change up the kit pretty drastically from the way it initially sounded, which leads me to believe that you can really get a lot out of this, even though they only give you one kit. It's very limited with the amount of samples and just even the amount of layering and the way they have it set up. Usually I'm used to being able to use at least 2 different keys for the snare hits to really dial in the different velocity, subnotes, accents. But you only have one, that's it. So you gotta make it work on one MIDI lane, which was fine. It is free. But I was impressed by how different I can get things to sound if I sit down and really play around with these settings that they give you per track to affect each drum kit piece. So, strong recommend for Drum Locker. And I mean, if you're really liking what's going on, the interface, the controls, then you can go ahead and add more kits from their premium selection. All right, so let's look at MyHappyBus from Yuri Semenov. Let's turn that on and utilize it. So let's turn it back off so you can hear the difference. Let's turn it on now. So it is a bus presser, and it definitely feels and has the characteristics of a drum compressor. It did kind of glue that mix together, and it didn't take long for me to dial what I needed in. So the controls are pretty slick. I was impressed by the controls. The only thing that was a little bit confusing is right here, the threshold knob. It starts at 0 dB and then it goes up positive, which usually threshold you're used to seeing negative numbers pulling down. So nothing's happening here on the VU meter until I increase the threshold, but the number goes up, which we're used to seeing. The number goes into the negative when we're pulling that threshold down to start to get it to react. So you have to just move this knob up. That's the only way you can go. It starts out here at 0. So just push it up, and if you notice, I'm starting to get activity here with gain reduction. So I think I dialed it in where I got close to about 3, more of a negative, what is that? I want to say negative 5, about negative 5 dB of gain reduction. And then I started dialing the rest of the settings once I got those VU meters going, get some gain reduction going. So we have some tone detector settings over here. There's a tilt type detector, different type of detectors, how you want the sound to be detected. So you can definitely roll off some of the low end so that it's not overreacting to the low end of your audio source. They do have this other thing here with the release. You can push this release knob all the way over here to the right, and then it goes into variable mode where it's basically more program dependent based on the signal that's coming in. So that was interesting. And then the link knob, 100% link, is gonna basically process the left and right the same way. And if you have it all the way to 0, it's gonna be processing stereo, left and right channels independently. Then we have input gain and output gain, so you can push the input gain into the compressor, which will allow you to adjust the threshold less. So if your signal is really quiet and nothing's happening, then you could push this in knob up start to get some gain reduction over here happening. And then you might not have to push the threshold that much. There's a reset button here. There's a bypass button here. And when you hit it, you get a big sign in the middle saying that it's bypassed, which I appreciate that also. Those little touches, I thought for me, was very premium. This developer just constantly pumps out a bunch of plugins for free, and he's doing a pretty good job. Maybe next week I'll touch on some more of his effect plugins, utility plugins. There are a lot, and I'm just kind of diving into it. Another cool thing that I want to touch on before I move on to another plugin. Well, two things. They have the gain reduction meter situation here, the whole metering situation. So we have these little LEDs that you can turn on. So right now, the gain reduction one is on, but you can also turn on the meter, the out needle, and it adds a second needle. And then you can turn on the in needle and it adds a third needle. So you could be looking at all three needles at the same time, or two at a time, or one at a time, based on if you want to see the output signal, the input signal, the gain reduction signal, or any combination of the two or three at the same time. So I thought that was cool. And also this is a mid-side capable compressor. So right now it's in stereo mode. You hit this button right here, it'll switch to mid-side. And I love the fact that there are tooltips. So you hover over any knob and you'll get a tooltip letting you know what's going on. Lastly, down here, you can hit this little red button and you can actually change the way the interface looks. There is a color knob. This is not what it looks like originally. I dialed in a look. So there's a color knob where you can go through the hues. Then if we choose, let's say this green, then this knob is for saturation. So you can desaturate or saturate that color. And then right here is brightness. Then they have a texture, so you can add some texture to the color. This is a reset button. Well, no, this is a random color button. This is a reset button for the color. Then this is gradient. You can turn off or turn on the gradient. There's a gradient going from top to bottom. And then they have the font section where it kind of changes the color of the font and some of the surrounding area. So if I hit that, you'll see it change up. So pretty well thought out plugin, from little things like, you know, being able to switch up the way the interface looks, but then just the overall functionality of it. Things like the different release options that you have, the settings as far as milliseconds, or you can put it to program dependent. The little extra features added to this meter is pretty premium also. But yeah, pretty cool plugin. There's no presets with this one, but you can create and save your own presets in there. All right, let's jump over to the next groove. So let's check out the second groove. This now is being played by Jamsticks. All right, so this is Jamsticks' very, very, very dated interface. The interface was always very choppy with the animation. If you have a low-end system, it can be a little bit taxing because of that. I used to have issues on my older system. Just it would just cause issues, and I think it was because of the graphical, because this whole graphical area is 3D, and you can rotate the whole drum kit. And there's a lot going on with that, which I think is a bit much, but to each his own. But yeah, it's a bit much. And I guess if they would design it in a way that it utilizes your GPU, because I have a pretty beefy system with a pretty high-end GPU, so it still shouldn't be so stuttery and weird at times, but it is. But it does perform much smoother on this system than on my old desktop. It used to struggle a little bit because of all this graphical thing. I'm wondering if you could turn it off. But when I had the plugin not visible on my older system, it would play fine. It's just when you're looking at it, I know the visuals was slowing stuff down. So with this one, cool thing is there are a ton of kits available, and that's rare for a free drum rompler type plugin like this. Usually they give you one kit and that's it. And you might get a little bit of variation, but that's it. But this one, they give you a ton of kits. There are percussions in most of the kits. So like jam blocks, tambourines, different types of shakers. So they give you a good amount. And the sounds are pretty good, as you can hear. So there is a mixer situation. I wish this interface could get bigger, but it can't. It's super tiny. And you can mess around with the mixer situation here. So what it is, they have an EQ section. So you come right here, hit EQ, and now you're looking at the different EQ options for each track. You go to compressor, same thing. You can hit the word comp to turn off the compressor for that mixer track, corresponding with that drum piece. Same thing with the equalizer. Just hit EQ to bypass and or turn off the EQ for that drum piece. There is delay, to turn that on, turn it off. Compression, you could just dial in the compression. So the amount of compression by percentage, this top knob here. Then you have attack and release settings. And then there's a mix knob, 100% to 0. So pretty straightforward. The only thing I would say is I had an issue get it going, which I never had before. This is the first time setting it up on this laptop for this video, and I couldn't get any sound out of it. And what it was I had to switch the mode right here to MIDI playback. So if it's not making any sound, just switch to MIDI playback. But up here we have a groove tab, we have a kit tab, we have a mixer tab, which we were on, and then there's a build tab. I think these are only accessible based on what kit you have, or it might be something that's only for the pro version. Doesn't matter. What you want to do is go up here to kit, and down here we have the different kits. When you load it for the first time, it might say nothing's loaded here. Just click right around here and you will get this list. So anything that is in white is available. So these are the categories, the different kit types. We have at special kits. This says empty kit. Let's switch up this kit. I don't want to, but let's switch it up and see what happens. So alternative, they have boom A, boom 2, boom B, brute, and everything else that's red is not available to you. So we could just double click on B. The kit's gonna change. Let's play that. Alright, let's switch up another kit. Let's go down to blues. They only have one blues kit. Interesting. We have country. There's one country kit. Okay. We have drum and bass, and they have one kit available there. Much smaller, tighter, higher pitch snare, piccolo. Drummer kits. These are supposed to be emulating, I guess, famous drummers. I think I like the Chad one. Let's look at a couple more. They have the funk category. There's 3 kits available in here. Jazz. Let's look at the jazz. Okay. And see, they have the jam blocks here. Tambourine on the floor. Actually click on that. Let's stop that right now. These shakers, you can click on them. Hopefully you guys are hearing that. Pretty quiet. But all those are playable when you are programming these drum grooves. They have a cowbell right here. There we go. And I think it's the they have a Latin one, metal, and what is it? The rock. Yeah, there are a lot of kits available in rock. I think the kit that initially was going, that I had that groove going on, was a rock kit, one of these kits. Let's do rock dry. Let's see what happens if we change it on the fly while it's going. Hopefully the program doesn't crash. Okay. I really like the rock kits. They sound pretty good. Extra dry. I think that was the one I was using. I really like the snare, the attack and the sustain of the snare. No toms. Only a floor tom. So what I would love to see for this is them just update the interface. There are a lot of options here, a lot of things that you can do with per piece and tweaking the piece and the velocity and all that good stuff. So there's a lot to explore, like even like right here, you highlight a kit piece and then they give you a lot of options. Most of these free romplers for the drums, they don't do that. They would usually take that away and not give you the option to do things like that. But let's let that rock while I move over to the next plugin, which is that ALCL compressor. Let's see if I can go back to the first kit. I don't even remember which one I was using. Let's go with that one. I think that's what it is. All right, so I just engaged the compressor. So cool thing about this compressor is it is a compressor limiter. So one thing that I felt was kind of weird is this slider right here. You have to click and slide up or down to change the position. Not left, right. There's no clicking and having it jump to the mouse pointer. You have to click and slide up or down. So compressor mode, limiter mode, or somewhere in between. But let's do compressor mode. So this is kind of following that CL, CLA, that type of compressor, but they still give you a good amount of controls. So you pretty much dial in right here for compression. So the more you dial this up, you're gonna see more gain reduction happening there. Then we have a low pass filter here. You can change that frequency, change it to 45. And you can change it with this knob. I'm not understanding what this other knob is doing. Maybe some kind of like a high shelf or something. I don't know. But they have HF here, which I think stands for high frequency. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, it's a high shelf. So we have a high shelf there. They have release settings in here. And you can dial in the release settings by just clicking on the number and sliding up or down. And then I'm assuming the A is auto release. There we go. So I'm assuming when it's red, it's on. And then when it's not, it's off. You can dial in some release settings then. Yeah. All right, what is this? Auto release sensitivity. Okay. So it goes along with the auto release sensitivity. Interesting. Reset on. I just reset the whole plugin. Back to compressor mode. And like before, we have the settings down here to change the look of the plugin. I'm not gonna go through that again. You guys get the point. And then there is an on-off switch here. This switch, you just click on it, it goes back and forth because it's a hard switch, on-off. It just has two hard positions. And then right here, we can do makeup gain. So you can either level match or you can turn it up for some makeup gain after you got some compression going. This one sounds pretty smooth too. It's actually a lot cleaner than the other one. I feel like the other one was adding a lot more character, just it being a bus style compressor. This one gives you a smoother result. So, it'd be good for vocals, maybe like an acoustic guitar, or whatever you feel like using. But definitely another good one from Yuri Semenov. I'm really digging his stuff, and I'm gonna dive deeper into it. And I'm working on a song right now, so I'm gonna use a lot of his plugins to do my final mix for that song and see how everything pans out with that. But there's a lot of compressors, EQs, a lot of bus plugins, a lot of strips. So I'll be presenting you guys with those as I use them and get more familiar with them. So that is it, guys. Check out those plugins. The link is in the description. It'll take you to that blog page where you can click on the respective download links for the plugins. Also, check out the link in the description for my video series on PC specs and how it relates to music production. That series was updated in 2021, and I'm looking to update it going into the new year 2026. I usually update it in about a 5 to 6 year cycle as computer technology changes and evolves, and the landscape of digital production changes and evolves. So there's a lot to talk about because of generative AI and a lot of those automated intelligent plugins. So I'll update talking about PC specs and how it relates to music production in that new series that I'm going to update coming into the new year. But that series is for you guys who would want to understand how your DAW works along with the internals of your computer to help power your DAW to give you a smooth experience while using your DAW. So if you're having issues where your DAW is very unstable, it's freezing a lot, it's crashing a lot, your audio is stuttering, you're getting a lot of clicks and pops as soon as you start to add like 2 or 3 plugins, it's just becoming very unstable. You're not having a smooth experience, which is going to distract you and just pull you out of that state of creativity. I know recently I had an issue with my computer, and it was like pointless to use the computer. I was actually working on a song. I was on a time crunch. It was very frustrating trying to record and trying to mix. I couldn't get a smooth playback. I was wondering what happened all of a sudden, but it was a Windows update that happened behind my back without my consent, and it corrupted my audio driver. So I had to uninstall the audio driver, reinstall it, and then everything went back to normal. But my computer just wouldn't play. The DAW wouldn't play. It was stuttering and clicking and popping and just acting crazy. And I remember at one point, I was trying to edit something, just edit audio, just trim stuff, clean up, and it just wasn't playing. And it just kept locking up. Not only was my DAW locking up, my browser was locking up. It was just weird because it didn't make any sense. And while it was locking up and like struggling to play, I just went and turned off my audio interface. And as soon as I turned it off, instantly everything just unlocked and started working. The browser, everything that was stuttering and freezing and acting crazy, I couldn't even open a folder. It was just like everything was locking up. So once I hit that and turned off the audio interface, everything was fine. So I realized that the issue was the audio interface. Why? I don't know. Didn't make sense. Audio interface has been working fine for years. But all of a sudden, it just started acting really buggy, very unstable, very weird, and it was seriously distracting and discouraging. But I was able to figure out the issue and move on. So when you're having those clicks and pops and just your computer being unstable, DAW's unstable, can't stay open, it keeps crashing, keeps freezing, keeps hanging up. It kills your creativity and kills your time, your workflow. So check out that series. It'll help you understand why you might be having that issue with your computer and what you might need to do to fix it. And it's good as a producer to somewhat understand how everything is working, so that if you're having an issue, you might be able to rectify it. And also, if you're looking to upgrade to a new rig, you will understand what you need to look for in that new rig as far as the specs that are important to you based on your workload and your workflow. Also, there is a link in the description for a growing playlist for these videos that I do weekly. So if you're looking for more free VST plugins, there is a whole playlist of over 430 videos with these live streams presenting you guys with free VST plugins, 100% free. I try to make sure that it's not free for a limited time, that it's not free if you sign up for some kind of online magazine or some, you got to pay for some kind of subscription to get this free. Try to make sure it's 100% free. You don't have to come out of pocket if you don't want to acquire the plugins that I present. So I try to find those. If you want to support the developers, by all means, support them. But whatever I present, it's something that you might want to use, and you'll be able to use it for free. My philosophy behind that is, if you're not in your studio and you're at somebody else's studio and you need to grab something that's familiar, that you're used to using, that you know that works, you could easily just jump on their computer on the web, download it, install it, and then you'll be more comfortable with the plugins that you are using in somebody else's space. And you'll be able to just go out and grab it because it's free of cost. Happens to me all the time. I'm doing work at somebody else's studio and I'm looking for a specific plugin, a specific dynamic EQ. I like the way it works. I like the way it feels. I like the way it sounds. And I just want that one. It has certain functionalities that I'm used to. I can just easily grab it and install it on their computer, no problem, because it's free. So definitely check out that playlist. Finally, there is a playlist, a growing playlist, a link for a growing playlist for the video series that I started this year. It is for the duration of this entire year, titled 52 Weeks of Reaper, where every week for 52 weeks this year, I'll be releasing a new video focusing on a key feature in Reaper. Those videos release every Saturday. We are 36 weeks in and still rolling. There's a lot to talk about with the DAW called Reaper. So if you're interested in Reaper, or you're interested in just finding out about another DAW, you might be interested in switching or just adding another DAW to your workflow, your arsenal, definitely check out Reaper. It is very flexible and very feature rich. A lot of people sleep on how flexible and how feature rich the DAW is, and the DAW actually runs very, very smoothly. So very powerful tool. Check out that series. I'm having fun putting it together week after week. And I'm also learning more about my DAW that I've been using for 5 years. So definitely check out that series. All right, guys, that's it for the video. I'm not sure if I'm doing another video for this week. I got a busy weekend. I gotta head out of town. So I might do another video this week, but I strongly doubt it. So if you don't see me next week, you will see me next week in the next video. But definitely Saturday, that video is released with the 52 weeks of Reaper series. That video will be releasing on Saturday, so you'll see me then. But that's pre-recorded stuff. For live streams, it may be next week. I don't think I'm doing one for the rest of the week. Too busy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, you will see me in the next video. I won't see you. You will see me.